may not know this, but you probably do. Hello Houston is designed to be a platform for local, state, and federal leaders to openly discuss their policies. It's also a platform for you, our listeners, to join in on the discussions and ask the questions on issues that matter to you. So today, we welcome City Council member Amy Peck. She represents District A at City Hall. If you have a question or would like to join into the conversation, give us a call, 713-440-8870. Council member, good morning and welcome to Hello Houston.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's great to have you. Let's just establish it first. Where exactly is District A? And you have some interesting tentacles that come off your district.
We absolutely do. District A is northwest Houston. We go on the north side of I-10 from about Fry Road, where city limits ends, all the way to 610 Loop, a little bit south of I-10, and then all the way up to 90. So it's basically Spring Branch, Inwood, and a little bit of Memorial.
And how many people roughly?
Over 220,000 people.
Wow.
Oh, nice.
Okay, I guess the first thing, in that area, we've seen a lot of growth, a lot of
Yes.
development. From your position, how do we balance off the economic concerns of growing industry and retail in that area, but also making it affordable, livable for residents?
Absolutely. District A is one of the fastest growing areas of Houston, especially in Spring Branch. We've seen just a boom when it comes to not only residential, but businesses as well. And it's been great, but at the same time, there's some growing pains as well. So we really have to look at that balance as far as, as new businesses, new homes are coming in, what that looks like for the existing infrastructure, the roads, the drainage, that kind of thing. So it's a bit of, give and take. It's great, but there's also items on the city level that we need to address as well.
So how does zoning then play into that? If you want to build up along that I-10 corridor, but you also think about residents and families and all that, how do you make that balance?
Yeah, it is a balance, and especially without zoning in the city of Houston, we have to look at that kind of thing as businesses are coming in. What do deed restrictions say? We watch the Planning Commission very, very closely to make sure that there's no deed restriction issues as people are building and new places are coming in.
So I guess ultimately what I'm trying to figure out is there a percentage? Do you say we want to bring in this much percentage of the area to be business? Are we looking for this growth in homes? Or is it more, am I thinking of it too logically and linearly?
Well, since at the city there's no zoning, it's kind of, people are coming in and they're looking at those stats and seeing what makes sense as far as businesses, grocery stores, what could be supported in that area. And then as home builders are looking at the same information too. So it's kind of both. You need the residents to support the businesses and the businesses to support the residents.
And it seems like with the HOAs, the city council pretty much follows the HOA to the letter of the contract. If you have an HOA that has an iron fist, the city council is going to back that HOA with the iron fist. If you have one that has a lot of loopholes and isn't so strong, city council is going to vote with that one.
Yeah, and there's a lot of neighborhoods, especially older neighborhoods, that maybe their deed restrictions were written in a way where there are a lot of loopholes. And so there are certain aspects of deed restrictions that the city can enforce, and there are certain ones that it's a covenant between you and your neighbors that the city doesn't enforce. And so the ones that we can enforce, we look at that very closely to see if it's written in a way that can be enforced.
You're Vice Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes.
So you have to have strong opinions on the current budget issues.
Absolutely.
There was a pause.
Sure.
You see that?
I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Yeah.
I just want to know what you think.
Yeah, I think that the efficiency study that came out recently really shows a lot of areas that the city needs to work on. And I'm really glad that we did this efficiency study. Something I've said for years and years that we need some kind of review process, an audit, an efficiency study, a sunset review program, any of those would be great. And so, we finally did it in a way that actually is yielding real results, which is great because the city has done other studies in the past that nothing has come from it. But this, we're actually seeing tangible results from that study. So we need to implement all of those efficiencies and then see where we are with the budget at that point. But it's a lot of money to make up. $330 million is a lot of money.
And the Houston Health Department is losing $42 million in federal funding. Could City Health Services be impacted by these cuts?
I think that it's yet to be seen what the impact is going to be with any kind of federal cuts, with any kind of state cuts that we're probably going to see.
Are you all preparing for this?
Yes. It still is questionable as far as what might be cut and what might not be cut. But most of the department, most of the budget from the health department doesn't come from city financing. It comes from grants. It comes from other sources. And so to lose a ton of money from grants, there's nothing really to make it up with at the city level. So it's concerning for sure.
When is the deadline for employees to take the buyout?
It's at the end of this month.
And do you have an idea right now of how many are thinking of taking it, or all of them going to take it?
I believe about 700 people, if I have that number correct, have taken it so far, but they still have a little bit longer to make that decision.
So what savings would we get out of 700?
So we're talking about millions of dollars of
Sure.
savings. To take that package and to obviously we don't want to lose employees, but it's a good package for someone who is maybe thinking about retiring. And then all of those positions would kind of just be absorbed and reallocated to other positions. So I'm happy with it. I did a budget amendment about that a few years ago to see how we can implement this. So I'm glad the mayor, really is trying to find creative ways to reduce the budget.
We're speaking with Houston City Council member Amy Peck, and we're taking your calls, 713-440-8870. Bob is on the line from Spring Branch. Bob, what's on your mind?
Hey, thanks for taking my call. Hey, maybe City Councilwoman, you can help us. Interstate 10, the eastbound lanes, the Bunker Hill exit over there by Memorial City Mall, there's 4 exit lights above that exit, and 3 of them haven't worked for 3 years. The city of Houston has told me numerous times that it's not their responsibility, and TxDOT has likewise told me numerous times that it's not their responsibility. Obviously, it's someone's responsibility. Can you maybe take ownership of this issue, dig into it?
And so you're
figure out
talking
who's
about
supposed to fix it?
is this on the south side of I-10 or the north side of I-10 at Bunker Hill?
The south side, right next to Ciro's, that restaurant there.
Okay, yeah. That's not quite in District A. It's just on the other side of I-10, but we are happy to work on it and work with your council member on that. And so anytime something like that happens where, one entity is saying it's not ours and another entity is saying it's not ours either, we ask you to please contact my office because we can get to the bottom of exactly whose problem it is and who needs to fix it. So please contact us, 832-393-3010. We are absolutely happy to help.
So you run marathons.
Yes.
Yes, and you're on the Quality of Life Committee.
Yes.
You have to tell me what you think about this bike lane issue that's been going on.
So, for the bike lanes, we have a lot of roads that need to be fixed and not a lot of money to do it. We have drainage issues, we have road issues, all kinds of things that really need to be fixed. And so when we have a limited amount of money to add bike lanes to something where sometimes it just doesn't make any sense, just to add a bike lane, we should definitely look at using that money in another manner. I think some areas, bike lanes might make sense. We're looking at one in District A where it's connecting a neighborhood to a park. And so that, that's a scenario where it kind of makes sense to do a bike lane. Other scenarios, I'm not sure that, it's not really connecting bike lanes to bike lanes. It's just a bike lane to nowhere. And we really need to take a look at those carefully.
In Paris, France, they have lots of bike roads, and they have just voted to put another 500 roads as bike roads. And if you look at the pollution that has really gone down so dramatically from 2010 to now to 2023, it's remarkable. It is. If you're looking for a Clean Air Act, that is one way to do it. Now they use them for not just recreation but transportation. But has the city ever looked at dedicating an entire road to a bike lane as far as not just taking part of a road?
Well, we do have shared use paths, and in my opinion, that makes sense in a lot of areas.
The Heights has one.
Yeah, where it's kind of a sidewalk, it's kind of an area where people can either walk or bike, and it's not taking up a lane of traffic.
Correct.
And I think that is the concern because yes, we want clean air, but at the same time, people aren't necessarily biking to work in the middle of summer. It's just too hot. And so, people might do it, a little bit throughout the year, but when it's something that they're not using consistently, it makes it difficult from a financial perspective to make that case to build those lanes.
I guess part of the problem in that, and that listeners will remind us, is that, for example, in Austin, the lane's already there, the bike lane, and it's being torn up, which obviously costs money. So doesn't it make sense just to leave what's there? The lower cost of repair is probably still cheaper than tearing it back up. I think people are feeling as though City Hall is going after these bike lanes as opposed to just not investing in new ones.
Yeah, and the ones that are being torn up, it's not in my council district, so I can't say with certainty exactly what's happening
I just want
there.
to clarify
but
the point
I think,
that's being talked
and I
about.
think that there's safety concerns on some of those bike lanes that I've heard that are looking at being torn up, where people are getting into accidents perhaps because of the bike lane. So in that respect, it makes sense to rip something up if it's not safe. But I think you're right. If there's no safety concerns, not really much maintenance, it might make sense just to leave some of those alone and maybe not build new ones, but not leave, just to leave the ones alone. But I believe that there's been some safety concerns on some of those.
We're speaking with Council Member Peck of District A. You can give us a call at 713-440-8870 to join the conversation. Selena is on the line from East Aldine. Hi, Selena. What is your question or comment for City Council Member Peck?
Hi, Council Member Peck. Thanks so much for taking my call.
Thank you.
I just have a real quick question. We're having an issue with water line number 74 that has to going to
I think we have a bad connection.
Yeah, Selena, if you could either try calling back or emailing us the question, the phone line was breaking up there.
I think she was going after a water district question.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what it
Yeah.
was. Of course, flooding is the number one concern. And we haven't had a lot of flooding lately, but I can tell you, as a weatherman for 40 years, flooding in this
Right.
city is
And-
the number one concern.
Which makes me wonder, what are some of the things that are keeping you up at night, Councilmember Peck, when you think about your district, when you're looking at District A?
Drainage and crime. I mean, those are the top two concerns that we get to my office. It's the things that keep me up at night for sure. Making sure that we have enough police officers, and making sure that our drainage projects continue to move forward and make sure that people are mitigated when it comes to flooding.
Where are some of your drainage projects that are happening right now in your district?
So we have several. We have the Inwood Forest Detention Basin project, which is a huge project that we've partnered with Harris County Flood Control and the federal government. It's going to add about 1,000 acre feet of detention for that entire area, which is so needed and very exciting. We also have other projects coming up soon. Chateau Forest is getting a neighborhood drainage project soon. And then we have others where there's been significant engineering issues trying to make sure that we have places to put the water. And so neighborhoods like Spring Shadows, we've been working very closely on moving those projects forward as well.
Well, and you have to also address the not just the drainage issue, but the water issues, the pipes breaking, and the fact that we're running out of water in this state.
The pipes breaking, that has been a huge issue, and I know that the city is looking to the state to try to get some funding for that as well. This has just been pushed so many years down the road as far as getting this fixed, but it's happening now where we can't just keep repairing things. We need to actually fix it. It's not just the water lines. When those break, then we have sinkholes on the street and all kinds of other issues. So it's just a ripple effect that we have to get those pipes actually fixed.
We have a call from Claudia from Spring Branch. Hi, Claudia. What is on your mind?
Hi, thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
Councilwoman Peck, I live very in your district in Spring Branch at around Bingle and Mora or Hammerly. And I see a lot of beautification efforts around the city, uptown, the Heights, but very little attention has been given to beautifying our area in Spring Branch. And I've been living in Spring Branch since 2019, and I've noticed that since the pandemic, our area has, even though it's the fastest growing area, like you said, it has declined a bit in terms of its beauty, its walking spaces, nature spots. We have a trail that is in the area, but it's never been finished.
Claudia, I'm going to jump in right here to give the council person a chance to address your concerns. Councilwoman.
Yeah, so a lot of the beautification that you see throughout the city, it's being done by management districts. We have a great management district in Spring Branch, the Spring Branch Management District, who they were doing a great job with a lot of the beautification projects. And then, there were freezes and other things that kind of, a lot of the plants and flowers died. They kind of went back to the drawing board and used it as an opportunity to kind of reimagine the medians and other, planting that they have in the area. And they have been working on that plan and implementing that soon. So we should see hopefully a spike in, the amount of trees and flowers and all that in the medians that they are planting. And the walking trail, the Spring Branch Trail, which we're really excited about. We have another phase that we're doing the ribbon cutting. Actually, I believe it's later this month. And so those phases are getting done. There was another segment where there were some engineering concerns that we're working on as well.
Councilmember Amy Peck represents District A. Councilmember Peck, thank you so much for joining us on Hello Houston.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.